Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
welcome everyone to the second episode of Real Talk with Ducky and Tomahawk, and I'm Ducky,
I'm
and
Tomahawk.
we are joined today by our guest person EXE, and we're going to talk about
Ta-da!
some cool things with him.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So
Yeah.
basically, this episode, since last episode we already introduced ourselves and kind of learned a bit more about what we do and what makes us kind of who we are. This time, we're going to learn a lot about person and see what makes him the streamer that he is, and what sort of
Makes what makes
just
me
a
tick.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't really going to say that, but yeah, that's a way to put it. Yeah, yeah. We'll see how that goes. See how that goes. So,
so yeah, we just want to do like a quick introduction, or we want person to do a quick introduction. So can you tell us just like a little bit about yourself, like as
Okay.
a streamer, as a person?
Yeah, okay. Hi everybody in chat. You guys. Yeah, I'm person underscore exe. Um the O is a zero. But yeah, so I'm a Cape Town streamer. Same as Ducky over there. We don't live too far from each other. Um and yeah, so I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I've been streaming for about a year and a half or something. I think December 11th, 2020. For some reason, I know
Very
that.
specific. Very specific.
what,
I was
I shall-
streaming, I think, Half-Life that first time, with gigantic technical issues. Um, but yeah, so obviously I've learned a lot since then. But yeah, so I'm a variety streamer, streaming a bunch of games. I kind of prefer like narrative, story-driven games. Um, yeah. What else do I say about myself? I'm in my 30s,
yeah,
vaguely
can
in my
relate.
30s. So I'm a pretty seasoned gamer.
Mm.
Not that doesn't mean that I'm good, but it completely different statement.
It never means that
that
you're good. It doesn't matter how old
No.
you are
yeah,
and how long you've been playing games. I think at this point, most of the professionals are the lighties, the young
Yes,
people,
you
mm.
know, I've
the
passed
ones
my
with all
peak.
the time on their hands.
I'm past my prime. My reflexes is not as good as it used to be.
That's normally my excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, biology, damn it.
So
So welcome person, and yeah, I mean, we've obviously played some games together. Um, we played GTA. You haven't played any Valorant yet with each other.
No. No, yeah, I
Hmm.
haven't. That's the thing. I haven't played a lot of competitive shooters. So
mm.
Okay.
like CS:GO, Valorant, Apex Legends. It's um, I think I played like maybe a couple of hours of CS:GO. I know that's
Okay.
like sounds like sacrilege for like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
how
Yeah. Well,
dare
I mean,
you. um, Especially coming from like my background of like playing a lot of Half-Life games and its expansions and mods and stuff like that. Um, But yeah, never done a lot of comp shooters and stuff. I feel personally like I'm not too good at those things,
mhm.
even though
Fair. None of us are really good
No,
at
none of us are good at
shooters.
it. I mean, I came from like a driving kind of racing game background, so and that's kind of what I stuck to. And then shooters is just like no. But Valorant is one of those ones where you can just pick up and play it, and it gets addicting, gets quite addicting.
Yeah,
So
it does. It does get addictive, and then you end up addicted for a year, and then afterwards it's like, okay, I'm over this shit now.
yeah. Because I think a lot of the appeal of those games are like it's the social aspect thing of it.
Yes.
Like you play with people that you like know you're gonna have fun with.
exactly.
Yes. That's exactly why. I mean, I personally got into Valorant.
Mm.
But most of my like OG games, like when I first got into gaming, was Call of Duty. And what wasn't necessarily a CS:GO, but it was. I played a lot of Call of Duty in the past, Black Ops, and that kind of game, like those kinds of games, and then
Mm.
like fantasy-driven games. So when I play, when I enjoy playing a game, it's either that, Sims, or like shooting games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what exactly got you into streaming? Like, why did you decide to stream? Because all of us have like our story. So like,
Yeah.
what was it? What was like
Man,
the fuck it? I'm doing this now.
man, this is a heavy question.
Well, actually, what I may want to extend that further, just so we don't kind of like mix up the timeline a bit. But what got you into gaming, actually? Like,
Oh,
what was it?
yeah.
Was it like PC, console, that kind of thing? Or
Funny enough, I never owned a console ever.
wow, okay, interesting.
Um, yeah, I don't know if Tele Game Station counts as a console. I guess it is.
Mm.
Ducky would probably know what it is, but it's basically a knockoff NES console.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only console we've ever had. But that was obviously like way back. That was back in the late 90s or something. Um, back when everybody was trying to duplicate the success of Nintendo.
Mm.
Or maybe steal it. I'm not sure where the licensing begins and ends with those things. But yeah, that's kind of like where it started for me. I played a lot of like NES games, like sort of 8-bit sort of generation of games at first.
Yeah.
At my friend's house and stuff like that. And when we got a console at our house, like obviously the classics, like Super Mario.
Yes.
I always like ask. I also want to ask people this, like when they're into gaming, like who do you prefer, Mario or Sonic?
Ooh.
It's such a heated question, but like I've always been a Sonic. Like Sega for me was like
Shit.
just
Sega.
amazing.
I actually never had Sonic. I never
Really?
played Sonic before.
Wow.
I only had like your basic, like really basic, like Chinese games, and then obviously Mario Brothers. That's what I had. I feel
Wow.
like it's such a typical South African thing. Like if you don't have your own console, you go to your friend's house and you play his games.
Yeah. But you go to your friend's house, you sit on the floor on the carpet that has like accumulated so much dust. And their moms make you like a peanut butter and jam sandwich.
That's
just for
not
you to take
that's-
you for hours.
that's not just a South African thing. That was a UK thing as well. It was like, oh, sit in the front room on the rug on the carpet on the floor, controllers on the coffee table, and just kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like the beginning of gaming. But like I think at that age, I was maybe like before I was 10 years old. That all happened. But that was kind of like the genesis, I guess, of it.
Yeah.
But I think where gaming kind of like advanced and really like I took it seriously was when we got a PC in the home and we started playing like like demo discs and stuff from like PC Gamer mags and
Yeah.
random ass magazines from like convenience stores and stuff. They just had it like in there.
like the Sims one from Huisgenoot.
Yeah, I remember that. My sister
Wow.
had that one. And
Oh my gosh, that was an OG game, man. OG.
yeah, demo discs was like sort of that entry point. I think I got that's when I got I think the CS:GO. Well, at the time it was like just Counter-Strike
Yeah.
expansions back then. But I got Half-Life, I think, the demo for the first Half-Life in a PC gaming magazine. I think it was timed. I think it was a timed demo. And that was kind of like the start of like just me like taking gaming like seriously. It was like at next level above just having fun with your friends on the carpet or something.
Yeah.
And I had like a sort of a whole new respect, love, I guess, for games in the industry
Yeah.
at that point. So it kind of started, and I talk too much about like Half-Life.
No, I love it. I love it. I was obsessed when it came out because my brother actually introduced me to it, and it was like it was just those Valve games were just like crazy how they could use the same platform but then create so many different models from it, and just like Gary's mod, Half-Life, Team Fortress 2.
You see that this is where like there's that age gap that y'all were talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about.
It was the inception of Steam. It was the start of Steam. Mad.
Yeah, so like
a lot of like the games that I played like that I would have considered old games were games that I had found that were like linked to like Disney movies that were just released, like Finding Nemo or Aladdin.
licensed games. Oh my god.
Or like you'll go to like the DVD store and then there will be like a game disc as well that you can install and just play for that amount of time while you had the disc. Or some like weird stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I
Remember, like going to the DVD store to get games. Like you'll have a
Mhm.
console, but you can't afford the
Man.
whole game, so you'll just rent it out for 2 days.
You know that
I don't
like that
know.
magical
Like that was
filter that
crazy.
you know that magical filter that like social media like sort of like put like Snapchat and whatever. It, like
Yeah.
just it's like a lot of bloom, sparkles and stuff. That was literally my vision when I walked into a video store and I
Yeah.
saw the section for all of the PS2 games and stuff on the shelf that I couldn't play. So like
Yeah.
yeah, it was a magical time. And I think like because the industry was like kind of in its infancy in terms of like especially like home consoles
Yeah.
Hmm.
because my dad used to have like a convenience store kind of thing himself, and he had a lot of arcades. So he had like Cadillacs and Dinosaurs and Street Fighter 2 and Punisher and stuff in the arcade, like at our home. Um, that also was like a huge thing for me, like just like was something that kind of kept me busy. Um, but yeah, like it was really like when we got a PC that kind of took off into something else. Um, but yeah, like after Half Life, it just like sort of it was a bit of here and there when it came to like just my journey with PC games because
Hmm.
for a while we just didn't have a PC. Sometimes we did, and then at some point, like I think like just later in my life when I actually could afford my own PC, some very bare basics kinds of stuff, you know. I would just borrow games from like friends and so on.
Hmm.
Then that was probably like the late 2000s.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, so I mean, off that was I think late PS2, early PS3 sort of era of
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where every game was brown.
Yep. Pretty much.
For
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
reason, all the
Yeah.
Call of Duties were brown. Everything needs to be gritty and like the Dark Knight.
Dark. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, so I'm so
Everything had
glad
to
we're off
be
that.
like clean and gritty and just like polished and just like
Yeah,
whoa. Yeah.
I'm so glad we're done with that era of games. But
Mm.
because actually think my favorite um time for games is like now.
Yeah.
I think there's been no better time for people to like make video games as independent developers
Yes. Very much
than
so.
now.
Indie games
You
are.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, Unreal Engine 5 is just cannot be like understated like how amazing it is for the indie industry.
I'm currently downloading Unreal Engine 5 actually onto my
Oh
PC
my
because I'm going to have a play about with it and see what happens. Yeah, because I can run it
oh,
quite easily on this PC, so it's going to be good. It's going
that's
to be good.
exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Make something, I'll play it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my journey into to gaming itself.
Mm.
But to answer the question about like Twitch and streaming and stuff, I thought about making video game content for a long time. First it was YouTube because I watched a lot of YouTube content,
Mhm.
Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Legends.
Yeah. So yeah, so I've been watching them for like probably a good part of like 10 years now.
Mm.
Wow.
I used to watch them back like I think when Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, them had like the hair colors.
Yeah. Yeah. And also PewDiePie as well.
And
Yeah.
PewDiePie. And I
Mm.
watched them in like an 144p on YouTube because I
Wow.
had like I had like a super limited budget for my internet for the month, and I couldn't waste it on content on YouTube.
Wow.
So
That's crazy. That's
it's
mad.
like I'm gonna
Wow.
work and make the window for YouTube tiny in the
Yeah.
corner. 144p is all I need.
That works. That works.
um,
Watching people in pixels, man.
hell yeah, dude.
Just to interject, yeah, we have had a comment here from Piston saying Jacksepticeye is a fucking legend. So yeah, that's
Oh
about right. Yeah,
yeah. Fucking love that dude. So damn humble, even in his fame. And that's like kind of like what people inspire to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
with people that get accidentally famous
Yes,
and they
Make
don't
me
let the
famous.
fame get to their head.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Cool.
really that's really cool. How like your sort of start into sort of just kind of that's naturally moved into streaming because streaming is obviously live, but it's come from a space where it's inspired by YouTube, and that's
Mhm.
really awesome. Actually, it's really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, content creation for YouTube is a whole new beast, a different beast than streaming. I found that I guess it was difficult to make content because you spend hours making a 5-minute video for a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I just couldn't find the time to ever get it off the ground. I didn't have the motivation or the belief that I could do it
Mhm.
with what I was
Yeah.
doing in my life at the time. And I think slowly, like I kind of got into watching YouTube live videos first, because Markiplier did a lot of that. So yeah, like I got into like sort of the idea of of just live streaming, playing video games. And I knew Twitch at the time was like probably back 2017.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, Twitch was like really blowing up because like people were moving over to Twitch for live streams.
Yeah.
Obviously the big one was like Ninja. Everyone made the big hoo-ha about that.
Yeah.
When he moved, like a whole like group of people just like moved with him.
Yeah.
And that was like in media for a while. So it was just an interesting thing to like see that people didn't have to spend so much post-production time creating like content that's
Yeah.
gaming related, and you could just purely just do what you've been doing all the time, playing a game anyway.
Yeah.
You know, live videos.
Enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could enjoy a video game like I used to when we were on the carpet at a friend's house
Yeah.
with sandwiches. You know,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like homey in a way, playing a game with people in chat, and that was really appealing to me.
Mm.
Kind of to recreate that vibe of like playing games with your friends.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I can
Very
see what
interesting.
I can see what you mean about the sort of the contrast between YouTube and streaming, because I mean, I kind of thought about the same sort of thing, because I did actually stream a couple of times just on YouTube before it was like a big thing to stream live on YouTube. It was like it was just in its very early days of doing that, and you know, I had no camera, no alerts, nothing. It was literally just straight from, well, it was GeForce Experience at the time, streamed it straight through, and then, you know, it was beamed straight into YouTube. And but like, yeah, creating a YouTube video, I find, as much as that they're very entertaining to watch, and you know, it can be edited so it's you kind of all the boring bits, say for example, but you have to be very forced and energetic and just kind of like keep it going, and it's snappy like this, you know. And the editing that needs to go into that is immense. Whereas with Twitch, I find that it's very easy to just stream, be yourself, let it flow naturally. And yes, there may be some dead spots here and there where not much is going on, but as long as you keep the buzz going and you have the chat to back you up and things like that to create that content, it's an ever flowing thing, and I find that so much easier. Just keeping like a conversation going is just so much easier than just kind of just sitting there just for the sake of doing a YouTube video on your own.
I think there's like a little bit of like at least my opinion, I think there's a lot more anxiety built into creating content post 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 gaming, I guess.
Yeah.
Just be a little bit more specific like that.
Mm.
Just because at the very least, like when you're live streaming, I feel like a lot of the pressure of seeing yourself on the camera and listening to your own voice, all those things are a little bit alleviated because, you know, it's so organic. Things just happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your audience interacts with that. And like sometimes the mistakes are like some of the best things you can do.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like I always find like in myself, like looking back at videos, like uncomfortable because obviously my face is there. I'm looking at every little like weird expression I make for stuff and
Concentration face, like
yeah, you know, that all comes into mind. So I think it's a lot easier for me to just like sort of like dial out that aspect of it and just like interact with people live while playing a game. Just a lot more enjoyable and just alleviates a lot more of the stress that comes with just I think that post-production part of editing yourself to be funny.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would find that if I was on YouTube, I would find that incredibly difficult. I would find it incredibly difficult because I think the editing side of things is just so time consuming, and like you say, when you're spending the whole time just looking at yourself and it's literally just you and the video and that's it, and it's like, whereas with streaming you can just kind of forget the camera's even there and just kind of be in the room with the people that are viewing you, you know, and I just feel like to be more part of the action that way rather than feeling so detached from it because it's just for a video, you know.
What do you feel about like I mean, personally, like as a streamer, I find it quite difficult to stream and then create content after stream, go through the video and like look for parts that are considered entertaining or funny or anything like that. Like I find that quite difficult because I don't know, I judge myself really harshly. So like if I hear my voice or I not necessarily how I look, but rather just hearing my voice, being a female, being really high pitched. And I'm like, I don't know if like this is really funny. Am I laughing at myself? Are people laughing with me? Should I post this? So, like, how do you feel about like posting like Instagram content or Facebook content after the stream?
Stream. That's weird because not what you said about yourself, but I mean like it's weird for me because I don't actually do that at all. Um, in the year and a half that I've been streaming, I don't think I've ever taken something off of my VODs or clips or something and posted it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not
And do
sure
you think
why.
that that doesn't affect like your viewership? That doesn't affect the amount of people that could potentially come into stream? Because a lot of streamers believe that creating content after stream is what
Multi-channel.
brings people into stream.
Mm.
Um,
No, I agree with that. And it probably does play a role in I guess viewership or exposure.
yeah,
Um, so like I know I do like a bad job at communicating things over social media. Um, so like that's one of it. Like clips and stuff like that. Like I feel like I do need to do it. I just don't ever feel like I can commit to something that's clipped
yes,
and
yes.
feel
Mm,
good
Oh
about
my
posting it
gosh.
myself somewhere.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
have this conversation all the time with like a lot of my like friends that are like very supportive of my streams, and then they'll be like, "Oh, you really do need to create more content in the sense of Instagram or in the sense of TikTok." You know, we do have like other streamer friends that are very persistent in like the benefits of being able to post stuff on social media. And I mean, I personally, I have an Instagram uh for my like Valorant clips or whatever the case. But to be fair, it's a desert. It's dry and quiet, and I haven't posted anything for like months because it's good. Like, how many headshot videos do you need to watch before you're like, okay, this is not fun anymore?
Yeah.
yeah, no, like I think that's kind of partly like why I like playing the games that I play because some of them are just like they create like unique, um, I guess moments
Yeah,
in that like for instance like I barely ever clip anything myself, right? So when somebody does do it, it always feels like a bit of an achievement because the control of doing that is outside of my hands, you know.
yes,
They found it funny and that's
yeah,
fantastic. I don't
yeah,
want to manufacture funny for people.
Mm,
So like me, I think taking something and putting it onto social media, um I just always feel odd about doing that with my content, I think,
yeah.
just because of that reason. But I know I should. I know it's one of the things that I'm bad
Yeah.
at.
I must
so,
admit,
so where
yeah.
do you think your audience comes from?
Um,
um
honestly, like, it's from the support. I get a lot of my audience from like you guys. Like, I know a lot of people from like Ducky and ThomaHawk's like sort of channels that come over. It's like this
yeah,
sort of this little synergy thing that's like kind of like is created
Mm,
where people tend to gravitate towards who they watch,
yeah.
their friends and so on. Um, so yeah, like I mean, I always like have this thing like with association, right? Like if most likely I like Ducky or something, um, I guess I would hold like her opinion about somebody else in high regard. So like if I watch like Ducky streams for instance, and like you can vouch for like ThomaHawk,
Mm,
for instance, and like I'll be like, okay, I'll check it out, and yeah, because Ducky is somebody that I like, and like I generally like your values and stuff, and like you most likely will make good decisions
most
to follow somebody
most
else.
likely make
Most
good
likely.
decisions.
Yeah.
Most likely make good decisions enough for me to like the next person that she recommends to me. So like I think like support's like a huge thing because I know I don't have a very big like social media presence.
Yeah,
Um, so like I mean that's where like a lot of the people come from that like stick it around in my channel and stuff like, well, in my chat and so on.
So person, I just want to refer back to chat. So Tom, you need to hydrate. Dana wants
Oh
you
yeah,
to
I've done
hydrate.
that. Yeah,
Okay,
cheers, Dana.
okay.
Cheers, Dana.
I'll do one as well.
Yay! Cheers.
All having a hydrate break. Nice. I love it.
Thank you.
So Piston actually says something that's quite interesting, and I've seen quite a few streamers that have spoken about the accessibility of a new app called Hover. It's kind of like TikTok, but it's almost specifically for Twitch. It's like almost specifically
Streaming.
for Twitch streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty new. Like it's still kind of like in its like beginner stages. It's kind of glitchy and stuff, but like I tried it out and it's good. It has potential. And it's so easy to like upload videos and stuff. It just really like it just needs that like development time to like become better. So like that is definitely something that we should speak about like in future, just as you know, as streamers, like have that conversation, like which social media would be the best platform to advertise on, or I do also think that there's a lot of streamers that maybe don't have time to create their own content, but then they have the man in the chair as like a Marvel reference, the man in the chair, which is basically just like someone there that's watching your videos that knows like, oh, this is kind of funny, clips it and then makes it a TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
So there are ways around maybe making content but not necessarily you doing it and putting like the large amount of effort into it, which can be very helpful to have like that kind of extra hands or extra brain cells for that.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really fantastic about Twitch, though. Like, it's why I think it's so successful is that it integrates with so many things.
Yes.
There's obviously a huge gap between what YouTube Live is missing and what Twitch has. Like it or not, Twitch is one of the best platforms for live entertainment. Because of that integration. I would obviously love it if, like, if somebody clips my whatever it is, and that clip immediately just gets shared to something else.
Yeah.
And if there's a platform like if Hover does that, that'd be fantastic. And I think it will be obvious, like the easiest way to like grow yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without all of the legwork you have to do, I guess, to like take it off of one platform into another one. And most people do that for multiple platforms. So it takes a fair bit of editing to get it down to a good size for Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. And I would really like want to get an app or something where it can sync up with some kind of account somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the thing that really puts me off using the likes of TikTok and stuff like that, because I feel that to change your gaming videos as such, where you've got all the elements of the game screen, which is landscape, and then you've got your camera, and then you've got alerts, you've got chat, you've got all sorts of things that you may want to include for the comedic side of it or the content side of it. But then you've got TikTok, which is just this little bit, and it's like the smallest bit of it that you'll see. If it's well done, it's great, and there is apps out there that can pick and choose bits of the screen that you want to put together, which is great. But like you say, it's legwork, it's time consuming, and it's something that sometimes people just don't have the time. I mean, me still working full time as a job, not necessarily getting home and at a normal time of day and things like that. I just don't have the time to be messing on building a TikTok for the week or something like that.
Yeah, agreed.
I just can't do it. And but again, I do echo what you say when you say like you don't feel comfortable putting yourself out there sometimes because it's like a clip content. It just seems a bit unrealistic. Just like, oh, that's me. Oh, yeah.
So
I know that feeling. Yeah.
So yeah, we have quite a few questions relating. We have 2 questions relating to variety games. So like, what do you think makes a good variety gamer? Like,
oh no, I have an opinion about somebody else.
it might be a complex question to ask, but yeah, like you obviously play a lot of different games. You play arcade games, you play RPG games, you play some fantasy games. I've seen you play some strategy games. Like how, like what makes you like the kind of streamer that can do that? Because I don't know about you, but I struggle to focus on 5 games at a time, you know.
Believe me, the older I get, the more it hurts me.
Yeah. I mean,
lose muscle memory so quickly.
yeah, I think the one thing that kind of has drawn me to you as a viewer is just simply because as much as I couldn't see myself at the moment, I can't see myself kind of just sort of going from game to game to game to game to game to game to game because I just think, oh, I'm jumping all over the place. But every time I tune into your stream, it's more than likely something different. So it's like, it's always fresh. It's always kind of like, oh, what's he trying to do? Apart from the series that you do, which, I mean, that Life is Strange series, my God, I was glued, absolutely glued. And from like almost the start to finish, and I was totally invested.
That was a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I slightly ruined it for you because I did pick the wrong things, but we'll gloss over that. I mean, yeah, that was me backseating at certain points, yeah. But no, yeah, it's always come to your stream and getting something fresh, something different, you know.
Oh, that's good to hear because yeah, like I've always kind of prided myself on trying not to stick to a particular genre.
Mhm.
There's obviously ones I prefer. When it comes to like, I guess games, like I kind of prefer things that are I guess yeah, story-driven games. So like Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
Probably like one of my favorite games for like the past couple of years.
Mm.
Control also amazing.
So much.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't actually matter so much about what the gameplay is. And I know obviously with a video game, gameplay should be king.
Yeah.
But like, as long as the gameplay is possible and the story is like strong and motivates me to finish it, I can get through it. You know, like I can forgive the game for like not being able to jump.
Yes. Yeah.
Or touch water.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I can forgive it for that. And I think I like games that just like kind of draw me in. It's probably why so many of the games I play is like, so varied, because I kind of get drawn into a game more for its story than sometimes its gameplay.
Yeah.
And that can take you to so many places.
Absolutely.
So if I like find something that's like a premise that's like just like, wow, that's cool. Like Control, for instance. Like, I mean, yeah, it's like a third-person shooter kind of thing. You got superpowers and whatnot. But I was like just captivated by the story, that the world that the gameplay takes place in. For me, it's just like, you know, it's like I would have found out more.
I'm intrigued. I'm actually intrigued. Ooh.
Yeah, it's like I want to find out more. It hints at so many things, and my brain just kind of goes like, you know, all over the place with where this could go. So yeah, that's kind of like where the variety part of it comes from for me. I do like testing out games also that are like one-man team kind of things.
Yeah.
It's like some dude made it for a game jam in like 24 hours or something like that, you know? So,
yeah. Proper indie game.
Find those kinds of things though. Like, where do you find them? Like, where do you find all these like amazing games? Like, that's just crazy how you always have like a cool, dope new game to play.
Like indie demo or something. Yeah.
So my go-to thing was always like itch.io.
Yeah.
I think it's itch.io. People just shorthand it like that. But yeah, it's basically a platform that that publishes, I guess, or is a kind of space for indie developers to post their things. A lot of the games are free because they're concepts or like demos of something bigger that they want to do, but like they just kind of putting it out there because it was like a little project they did in their spare time. Which is wild to me because I mean, in my spare time, I like just sit on the couch and watch like an episode of something on YouTube or whatever. Other people create entire games.
Yeah.
They put online for us to play for like last like, you know, 10 minutes only. It's just, but like I really appreciate that people do that, you know, without any real like, you know, monetary sort of gain for themselves.
Yeah.
It's just like a passion thing.
But then at the end of the day, that it takes people like yourself who will play those games on stream. They get the exposure that they need, and then they get lots of people coming in. And I'm sure well, like you say, they don't get any monetary gain from it, but I guess the exposure speaks volumes then, because at the end of the day, they'll be asking about so what the next game's going to be or something like that from that same creator. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like one of the things. So like I think like Meg asked me, way back when I started streaming, like, like why do I like games as much as I do?
Yeah.
Just as like a sort of like an existential question kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I can get a bit like sort of like mouthy about the answer to those things, but essentially like my answer kind of always boils down to like I love video games because it's another art form that takes me away from like my day-to-day life. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's also just like, I have like the utmost respect for people that can make something like that.
Mm.
As much as we love things like a good book series or a fantastic movie and or piece of music or something, I think video games like should be on that level of conversation when you like talk about like just how moving, captivating developer can make something, like for us to interact with and play.
Yeah.
And sticks with us like for a very long time. So like
Absolutely.
I have like a lot of respect for video games and the industry itself.
Yeah.
That I want to like give everybody like a fair shot. Like I want to play a game made by some, I don't know, some guy in the middle of like Albania or something.
Yeah.
About like a little girl just catching fruit off of a tree or something, some
Yeah.
bizarre ass story like that.
They're the best ones where you just think, what the hell is going on? Like, not a clue.
Yeah.
But I'm going to follow the story anyway because I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Let's see where this guy's crazy brain goes.
Yeah. It's like who wrote this script? What's going on?
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
It's kind of like why I guess I prefer like sometimes indie games over AAA stuff.
Yeah.
Because indie games are brave. They do weird, wacky stuff that you never thought would work in a video game, but like they nail it sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. I love it.
I must admit, one of the biggest games that I quite enjoyed that was like totally outside of what I would normally play is Dying Light. I know it's not an indie game, but like it's the whole element of it has the story, it has the structure of like development and skills and things like that, and then on top of that you have co-op as well. So it's like it wins for me on all aspects because there is a cooperative element to it. And that is it's just so much fun, yeah, because you level up to the point where basically your main weapon is a frying pan and you can just hit zombies with a frying pan repeatedly, and that's what I just love to do, just say bonk bonk.
In those situations I'm always like kind of giggle to myself thinking, okay, the whole world has fallen apart, all of the world's military and government are gone, they're dead.
Yes. Yeah.
But me with my frying pan.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah,
that's all the world needed. It was myself in the frying pan and like 4 of my friends.
Yeah, I'm just like climbing electricity towers and stuff like that, and then just fighting off zombies with a frying pan. Yeah.
Frying pan changed the world.
So, there was a couple of little things we did want to ask you, and I guess this kind of matches in with the differences between, say, me and Ducky here as well. How do you find streaming in a space where essentially you are classed as in a third world country? That's what, like I say that in quotes. Is it like a loose? Sorry?
Since when? What?
Are you? Is it South Africa classed as a third world country? I don't.
We pretend like we're first class. We are.
Fair enough. Well, you are. It's like you are the first world of Africa. There you go. So
we're the best of the worst.
But yeah, so do you find it difficult because with you being from South Africa and like having a South African audience, or is it more like a worldwide audience? Or what are you finding? Like what would you say is a struggle you would think for being from South Africa or anything like that?
Man, it's tough. I think I actually Ducky touched on this before in the last podcast.
But we wanted to hear like your opinion.
Your take on it.
You are a person of color, and like the general consensus is like it's the reason why you don't see as many people of color in a situation where they're able to stream, because you know, to be honest, there's a lot of poverty in our country, and you know, unfortunately, there is a bit of like discrimination when it comes to like what kind of people have access to internet and good PCs and just like the general capabilities that we are very fortunate to have, you know? And it's like, do you like, what is your opinion on that, you know?
Yeah, no, like I definitely like the reason why I brought up your the last podcast is because I agree with that. I think our biggest issue with a lot of things in South Africa, or maybe Africa as a whole, is accessibility. It's tough. It's difficult. Like, you know, I just made a shorthand for difficult. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's difficult, like in South Africa, to like. I'm fortunate. Like, I mean, I've spent also, like, you know, the good part of my career building up the funds I needed to do this. And I know that's not always the case. I know it might be easier elsewhere, and I think it's probably where the disadvantage comes in. Our country's infrastructure is not as good as what it wants us to believe.
Right. Okay.
Getting our hands on items, like, good example would be like this camera, right? Like, I'm using a Canon DSLR camera as my webcam, and
camera.
and the stupid thing is like, you know, this camera like doesn't, at least in South Africa, the prices for a battery, at least a dummy battery that can be plugged into the wall or something, so it stays on forever, without me having to charge it or something. I had to pay, I think, over like 1,000 rand for a battery. That thing,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just to keep my camera on. It's a dummy. It's supposed to like fool the camera into thinking there's a powered battery in it. It's a cheap item, but like you have to buy it from Canon only, and they give you a bunch of accessories you don't need with it.
Yeah.
And I spent probably the good portion of like a couple of months trying to find something that works for this thing, and I eventually land on having to import it. I had to get it from the States. Yeah, it was actually cheaper in the States to import it to my house. And that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's a simple like example of just like of what kind of hoops we need to jump through to just be able to support like the act of streaming. And that's just when it comes to like hardware.
I mean, typically a lot of South Africans, I mean, I can't obviously speak for everyone, but there's a handful of streamers that I know that started out using their phone as a camera. I mean, I use my phone as a camera. I've been streaming for a year. I haven't been in a situation where I've been able to afford, you know, been able to afford a camera. And I was fortunate enough for Carlo to win this mic like 2 years ago before I even decided to stream. So, like, I think it's also just like if you look at the perspective of things, there's obviously it's very easy to generalize the situation, but
I mean, I will admit, for me, it's a case of being in the UK and being in that space where obviously the UK streamers, there's a big crowd of those, and there's a big crowd of obviously US streamers that are related to that as well. Obviously, they're the big centric places of the world that, you know, the superpowers of the world for in terms of anything. Sorry?
So they want us to think.
Yeah.
That they're big and this like really central country.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Exactly.
Sorry,
exactly.
America,
No. It's quite all right. It's quite all right. But mic drop. but no, for me personally, it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, okay, so first of all, in terms of, like you say, availability, so in terms of kit or any part that I've got here, I will say that I am by far the wealthiest person ever. I mean, I literally, I have a place to live. I have a car, yes, but it's a case of I'm getting by. I'm literally just getting by. And to get, like, say, the mic and to get the second monitor that I've got and things, it's taken months and months and months and months. And me just to kind of go, is it worth it? Is it actually worth it to make the purchase? And I've kind of just gone, sod it, yes. And kind of maybe paid for it later and just kind of thought, oh, I'm a bit short for a few months after, but or something like that. But and obviously for me, it's easy enough to get stuff because I can just pick stuff off the shelf and for most things. And Amazon's a wonderful thing in this country, of course. But like, yeah, but and it actually works, which is an amazing thing, which I can't believe. But at the same time, though, because it's so available and sort of Twitch is so open to UK and US and what have you, I've got so much competition as being a UK streamer. Or a like a UK Northern UK YouTuber alone, I know at least of a handful of people, probably I'll count on both hands, who are Northern Newcastle, say, based streamers or YouTubers, and they've got massive numbers, massive channel numbers. Thankfully, well, I don't know them personally, but it's a case of I know of them because I've watched them and things like that, and I've become a fan because I relate because. They've got the same accent as me and they're from the same part of the country as me, that kind of thing. And but it's hard. The amount of competition now is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So being it's almost like that whole sort of big fish, small pond kind of scenario, because I'm a very small fish in a very big pond. Whereas if you're coming from the likes of South Africa, it could, in the space of Twitch, it could be a much smaller pond, but that means you can be a bigger fish and make a bigger impact. And I think that's where you have a slight bit of luck on your side, because if you break out into that worldwide kind of deal, then that's brilliant because you've got the fans from South Africa behind you, but also if you're networking correctly with the likes of me or Piston or any sorts of crowds like that, that's international. That's instantly international. Whereas I find that I struggle to get international audiences and mainly just UK, because when I'm advertising my stream, for example, on Instagram through all my friends, they're all UK based. And it's like, it's just UK really that I end up sticking to almost, apart from the odd few that watch my streams that are from elsewhere,
Yeah.
But it's weird.
I tried to Google to find out how many South African streamers exist on Twitch.
Okay.
Just like out of curiosity, and I can't find anything.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the stats exist for that.
Oh no, I'd say Twitch streamers by country. Just have a look for those. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to find out.
But like on the other part of the question, when it comes to like a person of color and so on, I don't know if I always look at myself as a person of color. Like, it's funny because like only a couple of months ago, I think I only found out what the POC stood for when I saw it hashtagged into things. I know. Hey, boomer.
Really?
Wow. Wow.
So, even my girlfriend looked over like, what?
What?
What block are you under?
She's up against you right now.
I know. I'm feeling very conscious about my age.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know if I ever started like streaming and stuff with that in mind. With like the greatest sort of like question about like how difficult it is for people of color. I have met a few people from South Africa, some black, some colored, and so on, that are streamers.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what my opinion is. Like it's definitely like a thing that I'm conscious about. I think the longer I've been streaming, that like out of the group of people that like kind of fits my demographic, like I'm a very specific kind of person, and I might appeal to a very specific crowd of people.
Yeah.
I'm an ex like Muslim atheist colored guy that like is also alternative and stuff, and
there's lots of boxes that ticked. Yeah.
There's a mixed bag of things there. So like I think my whole life I've never really felt like I was a part of a specific group of some kind. I think I probably relate more to the alternative scene than to me being like dark skinned person guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do definitely feel like because of the accessibility issue, there is just a lot less of us. And it's a lot harder for them to get into it. and that makes like the audience of people like a lot harder to fight for.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it's because I don't think a lot of people, even on my, let's say, Facebook, for instance, like takes the streaming stuff seriously. You know,
Right. Right.
because I come from like a background of like just people from like a color community that like just likes their golden oldies on the weekend and braaiing and stuff like that with family and so on, and all
Yeah.
of those like super like sort of like traditional sort of things,
Mhm.
and like and I'm like a gamer here, kind of trying to appeal to them from a completely different world
Yeah.
that they ever used to. Or I know people that I've like been friends with that still think of gaming as just like a kid's plaything.
Yeah.
And these are people
Can
my
relate.
age. Yeah. And these are people my age. Like I'm in my 30s and stuff, but I mean I don't think we've missed that boat in thinking of video games the way that like I think the younger generation does.
Yeah. Yeah.
That like it's a massive multi-billion like dollar industry
Mm.
that sort of like deserves like our attention and respect. Um, just as
In
much as
their
like film.
yacht parties in chat, but I don't
Yeah.
know why. The name is just like yacht parties.
Yacht
Yeah, boys.
Exactly. No, I know exactly what that means. There's a yacht in Smokkel somewhere where people would rather spend like their Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. And
Yeah.
I come from
Sitting
a
on a
community
crate
like
and smoking an orca. Let's go.
exactly on the on the corner while they lose touch of where their child's running to.
Wow.
So like I
Oh,
come from a
that's not even South African culture. I feel like that's like Cape Town culture.
yeah.
It's just like yacht
It's hella
parties.
it's hella like sort of like ghetto to like sort of say that, but that's like just genuinely like actually where I come from. Like I grew up in Mitchell's Plain, which is
Mm.
like a not so great place.
Yeah.
I was like fortunate enough like for my parents to like move us out to that place when I was like about 7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that's probably why I disconnect so much with my own people, because
Yeah.
a lot of my time when I was growing up was spent with like a lot of mixtures of people, races, influences, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is very interesting a journey. Like it's a very unique journey to be a person of color, I think, and see how the world perceives you as a gamer on Twitch or any platform that for that matter.
Yeah.
When you're surrounded by a lot of people like are traditionally what they're looking for as an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I mean,
have you experienced any like as a person of color streamer, have you experienced any discrimination like on stream?
actually,
Like
weird.
people have literally said to me, "You're not South African."
Yeah, no,
What?
I
I'm like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I am. They're like, you sound white though. I'm like, I am though,
Like,
and they're like, but you
oh
can't
my
be South
god,
African then. Oh, white?
people have light skin this far south in the Africans.
Who knew? Shocker, bro.
uh,
Oh my
So
god. Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's the same thing I kind of get, I think, because like I don't fit the look of what an African male looks like in South Africa.
yeah.
So like I'm just like, oh, you must have like immigrated at some point. I was like, no. I've barely
No.
left my province ever. So so um but yeah, it's an interesting sort of like story, I guess. Like there's definitely a difference, I think, just because ultimately it's what the audience wants.
Yeah.
And I think there is just a general like sort of appeal for people to relate to um, things that they are used to.
Mm.
So like the accent definitely is something I feel like is a drawback. Being
Okay.
South African and stuff like that, at least for me, because I still have like a bray in my speech and so on. There's probably people that can't understand me when they like tune into my channel or whatever, regardless of what I'm saying or playing.
Mm.
Um, So there's probably like, that little bit. It's not discrimination per se. It's just that I respect that people have preferences,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know? Um, and that's probably like, sort of a wall that stands between a South African with that doesn't have really good representation internationally.
Mm.
Enough so that like, that they are as loved as an Irish accent like Jacksepticeye, even though most of these people are probably viewers from the States,
Yeah.
you know? I don't think South Africa has that sort of leverage in the international space.
Gotcha.
So I think that's like a big hurdle for I think every South African, at least that sounds South African,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
has to
do,
like jump over. Yeah.
It's very fun though, like just like in the sense of like I don't want to say like discrimination is fun, but you do get a lot of people.
It's hella fun. What are you talking about?
Wait, what I mean is like when people like they'll say something based on their knowledge, right?
Hmm.
Yep.
And like I had a conversation with I have a streamer friend named Firelight Siren. They're Australian, and I told them that I have a boyfriend and he's colored, and they were like, "You can't say that word." And I'm like,
Yep.
"What do you mean?"
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
"You can't say that. That's a discriminative word."
Mm.
I'm like, "It's not
Yeah.
though." Like I'm South African. Like it's like a racial
How it's referred. Yeah.
like
I think that's,
title in a way.
Yeah.
And they were like,
that's the unique thing I think about South Africa is that like we don't have or we separate the classification for black and colored people, and
yes,
they're
Yeah.
very different people.
Mm.
And I
Yes.
think the rest of the world obviously is just like black and white. You know,
Yes.
either you like you,
Almost. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's either like
UK is
you-
trying to, of course, diversify, and I think Australia is following that vein as well, where
Mm.
they're trying. The thing is, they're trying to be diverse, but yet not use labels to show that diversity. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because
but
if you
labels are
put if you,
people.
yeah, but it's as soon as you put a label on something, it's like you are in this slot, and you are in this
Yeah.
slot, and
Yeah.
you know.
Wait, what if you fit in multiple slots though?
Well, that's exactly it. You
What
can't
if you're
label
like a
it. You
colored
know.
person with like
That's a
straight
lot
hair,
of-
like mine, and freckles and blue eyes? Then what?
You're gonna check a ton of boxes on that entry form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So the one thing I did want to ask, obviously, because obviously you're saying that there is that list of like traits you have, I guess that you follow, or labels that you could be put under. Do you try to keep your sort of culture and things out of your stream as much as you can, just to kind of so that people will gravitate more towards you as a person as opposed to your culture?
Yeah. I for the most part like always try to keep my beliefs out of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm atheist, right? So
Mm.
an ex-Muslim, I guess. So, that has like I try to be sensitive at least to people like their feelings towards their beliefs.
Gotcha.
Because that goes beyond just beliefs and stuff. Like I think my opinions about like any like serious controversial like sort of topic, I try to keep that like to a minimum.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Like I myself at least like I don't want to like alienate people,
Mm.
to enjoy themselves playing video games.
Okay.
When it comes to something as I think cultural and individual as like what people's belief systems are.
Mm.
Because there's so many, like there's as many religions as there are people in this world.
Yeah.
And you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a fruitless attempt to like try to do that.
Yeah.
To try to talk like on a platform as public as Twitch to people that might come in that can be offended by things that you say just as an offhand sort of remark about things.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
mean much to me, but I know I'm damaging so many people out there if I do that.
Mm.
So yeah, like I think I always approach it like from that sensitive, like sort of like perspective that like there are people in the world that have different ways of living. I might
Yeah.
not agree with it. Some of them might be harmful.
Mm.
But yeah, it just all depends. Like I mean, I have my beliefs. I'm very open about it if people want to talk about it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to dictate what the tone of a conversation in chat is. Like I don't want like an army of people agreeing with me.
Yeah.
And like ganging up on somebody else because they agree with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a safe space, like it's
Mm.
just as it should be just as inclusive as people deciding what to do with their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
Or their relationship with, I don't know, Kim Kardashian. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be a good time, and
Yeah.
I want it to be a good time all the time.
Yeah.
That's like my utmost thing. And whenever it gets to the point like where it gets a bit too intense,
Mhm.
or toxic, like I just like kind of want to back off from like that ever happening.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
think
can
it's
agree
just
with that.
like the general consensus. Like I feel like a lot of streamers will purposely avoid certain topics of conversation, and I think as you know, as podcast hosts, we do want to like have meaningful conversations about certain things, just to like better understand where certain people come from, in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So we do plan on speaking, and we're very open-minded people, so we do plan on speaking about let's say now, like maybe the concept of birthing people,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
using the word birthing person. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever heard of that.
Actually, I haven't.
So the trans community would prefer it if the nurses and doctors in hospitals would use the word birthing person and chest feeding, because it's more
Inclusive.
inclusive
Yeah.
to the person giving birth, which is problematic in a sense, because that's implying that not just a woman gives birth,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So like it's not something we're talking about now, but that's basically like the kind of topics that we do want to discuss, you know, so we can educate ourselves, as well as, you know, maybe teach other people in chat maybe something new, you know, like
You definitely
never
need to have those
never to break,
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, never to inflict not inflict, but like to cause damage, or you
No.
know,
It's just to get those topics out there and talked about and just kind of start that
yes,
discussion off. And
yes,
it's not to kind of, like you say, it's not like to damage or fight fire with fire or anything like that, or cause any form of drama. It's just more so about opening up that conversation to allow people to have their opinions on things and voice them in a safe
yes,
way, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So yeah,
that's a great thing about your show, though. Like, I mean, it's kind of an open platform for a discussion like that. Obviously, you guys, you have the control over what is discussed and so on. But
Hmm.
when you open a platform like you're about to do about something like that, I think it's like it becomes like a sort of healthier way to like just be more educated about
Yes.
topics
Yeah.
that you
and
wouldn't
that's the
otherwise
goal.
have a platform to like expose yourself to these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
So with that being said, we do have a little controversial, or maybe not controversial. It's actually quite a light controversial
Mm.
question. So there are many opinions about this particular thing that I'm gonna ask. And
Ooh,
I would
opinion
like to
controversy.
know, yes, I would like to know what your opinion is. And would you prefer me to explain other opinions before you give your opinion? Um, so The Little Mermaid is being released, live action is being released the end of this year sometime.
The little what?
The Little Mermaid, like Little
Oh,
Mermaid
mermaid.
live
Oh, yeah.
action with Disney and everything. So The Little Mermaid originally was obviously green in the book, and was then depicted by a white character in, 1996 or whatever,
Mm.
and is now a person of color, an African girl with red dreadlocks. And the controversy is that a lot of people are up in arms and like, how can you do that? A lot of people think that it's a little bit of a cheap shot of Disney to make a character that was originally European into an African character for more diversity, rather than taking the time to create a character for the diverse plot.
Hmm.
And it just seems a little lazy from Disney's perspective. However, when people come like give that opinion, a lot of the people that are cool with it are like, oh, that's kind of racist. And I don't think you can really put racism in such a small box, like discrimination in such a small box. But like, yeah, what is your opinion? Like, throw it at us.
Um, funny enough. I guess because I'm like a bit of like a a cinephile a little bit too. There's obviously in recent times been like a huge push to be more inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so from Hollywood. Because it's like it's the current sort of like climate, I guess, of the world.
Hmm.
Man, this is like it's a complicated topic just because it's gonna my answer's gonna have a lot of it depends in it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's perfect.
That's great.
Just because
It's your opinion, so
Yeah.
yeah, so like I actually didn't know that Little Mermaid had a cost attached to it. I'm actually looking at it now. And it's yeah, I don't know any of these actors actually besides Melissa McCarthy, who is Ursula. That's very interesting.
Hmm.
So yeah,
they paint her gray because she's a very gray.
I guess yeah. It's interesting for her though because man, I have issues with Melissa McCarthy, but she's a lovely
Oh,
person. She's a lovely
dirty your
person.
shade.
It's
Uh-oh.
more to do with
Uh-oh.
the characters she plays in
Uh-oh.
movies.
Oh, okay.
But okay, besides that, let me take this back maybe to something that like I can probably like relate to a lot more.
Okay.
It's somewhat similar to this case. Ghost in the Shell
Okay.
came
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. Played by
Ducky's
the major
thinking now,
played
like,
by
what
Scarlett
the?
Johansson. So Ghost in the Shell is like an anime from like the 80s, 90s.
Mhm.
Hugely successful, influential in its genre. I think revered and known by anime fans for like all time.
Mm-hmm.
Where a live action version came out like a couple of years ago, and the lead
Yep.
character, who is traditionally an Asian
Yeah.
Japanese woman, played by Scarlett Johansson, which is a
Yeah.
Caucasian lady from the US.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There was gigantic backlash
Yep.
generated by the casting of her as that. Now, everybody can agree Scarlett Johansson is an amazing actress. She's achieved
Mhm.
a ton of like accolades and like fantastic roles in a time. As a lead character in a action movie, she is fantastic.
Yes.
But the context of the conversation was like, this is a movie that is it's solely Japanese. It takes place in Tokyo. All
There's
the characters around her is like Japanese in descent in some way at least.
yeah.
And here she is in the middle of all of this, standing out like a sore thumb because
Mhm.
she's just like she's got Jansen.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And in that case, like at first it was just like okay, it's news about a casting thing. I don't care too much. Scott Jansen's an amazing actress. I have no problem with it. Like the more I thought about it, like the more it does feel like it's a disservice. I think that the industry was doing to Asian actors in Hollywood that could have done just as good as a job as her.
Yeah.
In the lead of an iconic female Asian character, a strong female woman in anime, played by just a cash in sort of like casting
Yeah.
no-brainer decision like Scarlett Johansson. She'll bring in millions, I'm sure of it. Kind of like decision.
Yeah.
And this kind of yeah.
Yeah, I get that because I mean, you as much as see it comes into this argument of like typecasting people. So it's like if you have like say the Marvel film, I can't remember what the Marvel film's actually called now. It's the one where it's like an all Asian cast. Because
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an all Asian cast because it's an Asian derived film.
Yeah.
So you've got to do it that way, or you got where it's like Wakanda Forever and all that kind of stuff. That's all mainly colored or black actors and actresses, or actors, I should say, is a general term. And of course, yes, films have got to stick to those themes. But like, it's interesting when you've got like a big deal actress like that doing a part, which is great, like you say. However, it just doesn't quite fit with what the actual movie's about and what the premise of the movie is. And it's just like, yeah, I can see what you mean, where you kind of look at it and go, as a whole, the movie, I can't remember if it was actually any good, to be honest. The movie was it?
It was shaky. Like it was.
Yeah, I think I don't remember it being like amazing. I just think that it was
It
like,
was just boring. I think
yeah,
the movie was incredibly boring. Almost nothing happens. And I know, like, the story of Ghost in the Shell is like existential questions about like the nature of person and identity and stuff like that.
mm,
But I think the Scarlet thing, I think maybe like sort of rub people the wrong way. Is that like I think there is a problem when a character, let's divorce the actor from the role. When a
right,
character is basically being there's a word I just added. um, it's not destroyed, betrayed, I guess. When a character like is betrayed by the casting made for that character,
mm,
like for instance, like there is core traits to the major, the character itself, that requires that person to be Japanese. It's part
yeah,
of the background in the country. It's part of the relationship with people in the country and stuff like that. It's part of her background as a character because she's tied to the location so much.
exactly, yeah, yeah,
And it's just odd then when you cast like somebody that cannot have any of those sentimentalities attached to the location it's set in.
Yeah.
Um, I guess then where my difference would be, there's also like another thing that was in news a couple of years ago, was like Superman being that could possibly be cast as a black male.
yeah,
And I mean Clark Kent Superman, not
yeah,
any other version, like the
yeah,
iconic dude himself. Also just like, but that's maybe a little bit different. But yeah, like in the case of
Pretty
Major,
much
like it is a
the
betrayal.
same. I mean, that's pretty much the same as the mermaid situation.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
Clark
but
Kent, really popular Superman character.
mm,
They want to be more inclusive. They want to be, kind
yeah,
of like with the times. And now they're gonna make a European character African,
yeah,
which is great. Like I'm all
yeah,
for inclusivity. I'm all for representation of cultures, colors, as well as genders
mm,
and
mm,
sexualities in Hollywood, in Disney, in wherever, but create brand new characters. Don't be
yeah,
lazy. You know,
yeah,
if I decide to have kids one day, and obviously my kids will be of color, I would want my daughter to watch a Disney movie or whatever and be able to relate to that character,
yes, yeah,
because they have curly hair or they have brown eyes or whatever
yeah,
the case. I don't want my kid to look back and be like, "But mommy, why is your favorite? My favorite Disney is obviously The Little Mermaid.
mm,
Why is your favorite
like you said,
cartoon?"
obviously.
yeah, whatever
Like,
gave it
why is your
away,
favorite cartoon European, and now and now I'm watching a movie and she's dark of complexion like me? Why is that the case?
yeah,
I do think it does ask a lot of questions. It does really set up for a lot of questions, and I also noticed they did the same thing for Death Note.
mm,
Netflix did that for Death Note. They created
Or Death
a
Note.
Euro-
Oh,
oh
it
no,
was. I only watched 20 minutes of the movie, and I was just like, I can't. This is cringe. I
yeah.
can't. So, yes, no,
See, this is the thing.
that's the thing,
Is
like, but that's the thing, like with the Ghost in the Shell thing, like it's like, yeah, like why is she there? But like in other cases, like Superman, also, like why are you casting a black male for Clark Kent, which I have a issue with, because in the lore of Superman, there are black actors that actually portray Superman, not
mm,
Clark
yeah,
Kent, but there are other characters from other planets that like portrays the Superman marquee in comic books. They exist.
yeah,
So why recast a traditionally like sort of Clark Kent into the role of like, or
yeah.
why cast a black male into the role of Clark Kent
yeah.
when there are
Lazy
existing characters
casting.
See,
that can actually do
we've
that as well?
yeah, in the UK, we have this kind of issue all the time because we've got big running series like, well, for example, James Bond. Okay, James Bond has always been kind of every time they want to change the James Bond, which that's due to do now because obviously Daniel Craig's done his last James Bond film. They don't know. Nobody knows who the next James Bond's going to be, or if there is going to be another James Bond. We don't know because we don't know where the story's going because obviously Daniel Craig's James Bond was supposedly more like the books from way back when, and it's kind of like the origin almost of it, but it's like a modern take on it. So it's switched up the whole timeline of everything a little bit, as if there wasn't really ever really a timeline with James Bond, but like it's kind of the whole how the story flows and how he became, like how he is James Bond, and then where do you go from there? They don't know, and I mean there's been word out there that there's going to be a coloured James Bond or something like that, but also another big series in the UK, Doctor Who. Absolutely, yeah. So
they just got the casting for that.
They just got the casting for that, which is also a coloured actor to be James Bond, and he's very young. And before that, they had a woman, and before that, they had a very old gentleman, and then before that, they had a very young one, and then they had another. You know, they've had very different doctors throughout the series, and that's always been the way all the way back to the 70s. But it's very polarizing. It's very kind of like, oh, we've cast a woman, great. What can we try next? And obviously that's the next more diverse option. And it's interesting because I must admit the Doctor Who stuff, there's always been that opening for casting many different cultures, many different backgrounds, many different you know, there could be a, not that you'd highlight it, but there could be, I don't know, a gay doctor or something like, you know, it's just like random like that. And that door is wide open for that because the Doctor can pretty much be whatever the writers want it to be. You know, it's not typecast as one like a Clark Kent. It's not like a cookie cutter kind of thing. It can be anybody. So it makes it really interesting.
I think that's my issue normally. Like, is when I see these castings like Little Mermaid, is I always look at like, you know, about the character. Is there anything intrinsic about the character that she needs to be white?
Yeah.
Is that like an important part of the character? If it isn't, then you can cast whatever color you want. If there's an intrinsic,
it's not an important part of the character. She should be green, actually.
Yeah.
So.
So like, if there's an intrinsic value about a character that's being left behind because you want to cast something just because it's relevant, then I have issue with that. But like if somebody like could be any like James Bond, for instance, I think an intrinsic value of James Bond is that he needs to be British.
Yes.
He or she needs to be British.
Yeah.
You know,
obviously British with well-being of color. So
yeah,
true.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, what is British then? Like today, British could be like, you know, anybody from any parts of the world that is British.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a black male, there could be a black woman, there could be an Indian girl, or there's so much diversity in that. But I feel like you'll betray the character once you do not make them British anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, as long as you have the core values of what makes the character. KSI, oh my god.
KSI is James Bond.
What is that? I don't know what that is. Someone explain.
I'm James Bond, bruv, you know? James Bond. Yeah.
He's a British rapper, right?
It's a person. Okay.
British YouTuber, and he did some boxing here and there. Yeah.
The only content I know about it is from like the Among Us gameplay with a couple of people, and he shouts a lot.
Yeah. It's part of the Sidemen, isn't it? Sidemen? Or something like that.
Right, cool.
But okay, cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for answering those questions. So we have one more question, and then we're gonna call it a night. Basically, what are your streamer goals? What do you hope to achieve in the next 12 months on Twitch as a content creator?
Man, I still want to have an interconnection and power. It's like just
wow, big dreams. Okay.
I reckon I just want to have stable power. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yes, no load shedding.
Please.
Looks like you're gonna have to move to the UK. I think that's what's gonna have to happen. Yeah.
Put my whole life up just to have an internet connection forever. Yeah, in the next 12 months. I'm not sure. Hey. Yeah, my goal for streaming and stuff like was always sort of just to have fun.
Good.
it was just sort of like a way to share gameplay and stuff with people. Um, I think that might have changed, like during the course of streaming. Um, Obviously, the more I learn about like Twitch and OBS and the post side of it and like analytics and so on, the more I learn about the whole of streaming and stuff like that, I think like my relationship changed like a little bit
Hmm.
initially, but it still comes down to the core thing that I just want to enjoy myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did it. I did at the beginning of this like sort of start out with like sort of I guess like admittedly some selfish sort of like some goals for myself because like I wanted to have fun. It was a place for me to like sort of just like get myself out there and do something, impact other people. But yeah, I've met so many people during the time of streaming. I think like it's just grown to something else. It feels more like a hangout spot for when I need to just kind of like get away and escape from just the mundane, tedious things of life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what gaming's always been for me. It's always been an escape, like a lot of other art forms and stuff. And it's really cool. Just to, like feel it. It honestly warms me up when people enjoy games as much as I do.
Yeah.
They're in chat and like we're all having a good time and stuff. And it's just like you leave the stream and stuff feeling like almost like invigorated because it feels like you just came like home or something from a good time out with your friends. And I think I'm looking for that when I stream. It's just a good time. I want them to enjoy themselves, and yeah, that we just all kind of like have a pretty safe space to just be ourselves. About
That's such a beautiful answer.
It is. It is. Well said.
yeah.
I
So
do,
heartwarming.
yeah. I mean, I do want to kind of add a second question to that. Is I mean, because it's just made me think. Obviously, you get a good vibe from your streams. You watch a good. It's always a good vibe in your streams. You make it a comfortable, like comfy place to come to. Do you? When was the moment where you thought streaming? Like, I want to keep going with this. I want to keep streaming. Did you have any sort of like anybody come to you and say, "Oh yeah, your stream's great," and you should keep doing this, or was it just a case of your decision of just like, I like doing this regardless, and I just want to keep going?
Yeah, like well, at the beginning, like my biggest supporter like is definitely like Megan, my girlfriend. She's pushed me to do streaming like a lot. I mean, I had like a break a couple of months ago as well. But but yeah, she like believed that I could do it and stuff. She was always encouraging of me doing it from the beginning. I think when I started streaming as well, like I did get a kick out of like sort of I like the behind the scenes stuff a lot. Like I love setting up things and like sort of getting things tweaked just like how I wanted and stuff.
Yeah, I'm very much like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys like watch my stream and like me trying to solve problems and stuff in the background, like it just like I really like just like getting my microphone stuff set up just like with the game's volume and stuff, and like making sure that chat. Are you comfortable? Are you like sort of like can you hear me? Can you hear the game's dialogue?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no subtitles, so my bad. But I like that part of it, like the technical aspect of like streaming and stuff. Yeah, I just want things to always be perfect. At least like from a technical aspect. And I forgot what the question was.
It's
What was this?
yeah. Have you had sort of any feedback as to from your streams?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Like I mean, not directly unless I ask
Okay.
people, which I've done a few times. Like I've reached out and just asked people, like just check out like this VOD. Is there anything that you feel like that I can like improve on or anything like that?
Yeah.
One of the guys actually that reached out to me was like very helpful, still is. Matt Hayden.
Okay.
He recently moved to the UK actually.
Okay.
He was this African streamer from Joburg. And yeah, he gave me a lot of good feedback. Phoenix. He gave me a lot of good feedback about what I can improve and stuff on my streams, and that was like so valuable for me because of that thing of me just wanting things to be perfect. And then honestly, like chat has been a major sort of like reinforcement of
a motivator.
I'm doing things right. Yeah. Like cool, I'm doing things right. If I can just like get things balanced on my side, if there's no like hiccups with frames and stuff like that, and no one's
Yeah.
complaining,
Yeah.
you know, I get like a huge like sort of like surge of like just affirmation from that.
Yeah.
Like it's a good like sort of like pat in the back that like you're doing things right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, and now that I have like a stable, also like a couple of people that come through to my chat, to my streams and stuff, it's also just like another like motivation for me.
Yeah.
That like people come through and like they genuinely want to be there. They'd rather spend their time watching you playing a game and stuff than literally doing anything else.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like
exactly.
it's a massive like motivation. Like I mean,
Yeah.
to be that influential in somebody else's life is huge.
Mm.
At least for me, because I live a very like sort of like tiny tiny life, very
Yeah.
simplistic.
Mm.
And this is like my one thing that I use to like reach out to other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, chat's been like a major like support and like sort of getting me to do this
Absolutely.
continuously.
I forgot how valuable chat was, to be fair, but it's that whole thing of creating that interaction rather than you just kind of sitting there stone faced just waiting for something to happen. This people will come through, talk to you, ask you questions, you answer those questions, content instant, conversation instant,
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much easier. I mean, I can also extend this question out to Ducki as well, to be fair. Ducki, I mean, have you had any sort of direct feedback from your streams? Have you had someone kind of come to you and say, oh, your stream's great, or something like that? I mean, in the past, has that kind of motivated you to keep going?
I don't know how to answer that question because, like, I get people that will tell me that my streams are entertaining, but I don't really understand where and how that is a thing.
Okay.
Because I don't particularly think I am very funny or entertaining in any sense, but everyone keeps saying that I am.
Yeah.
So like I guess
you
like
are.
I'd be like, you see, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I don't think so. I don't think like I don't know if it's like insecurities or anything, but yeah. So that's like I guess the most common feedback that I would get is it was fun playing games with you. It was fun chilling with you.
Yeah.
Because I obviously I play Valorant, and a lot of my streams are people that are able to come into stream and play games with me, and then they end up being viewers as well.
Yeah.
And those people, if they can't play with me, then they're obviously in chat, and I do have a very it's fun
Bless
living
Carlo.
with you. Aww.
Aww. Look at you both with your supportive partners. My God, man.
I mean, Carlo thinks that I'm not funny. Because I make dry jokes. Like
Yeah.
my humor is dry humor.
Yeah.
And he's like, you'll say, oh my God, you're so bored. And it's basically
so long.
He's basically like, you're so boring. Why? That's such a stupid joke. Or I'll make a joke and I'll laugh at it for 15 minutes by myself, and he's just like, what the fuck? Why is that funny? I don't understand. So like, I honestly think that kind of energy still comes across in stream, and I'll laugh at myself, because if you're not gonna laugh at yourself, who's gonna laugh at you, right?
Oh yeah, I love when people don't take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
Like it's just the best.
I mean, the reason why I asked you both that, because I was curious, because that's been one of the biggest motivators for me is sometimes feedback. So you've got the thing of like the chat, you've got the thing of like people coming back, and then you've got the people. I have had people. Obviously, when I was thinking about starting out, obviously I met Ducki as well, who was already streaming at the time, and obviously made some kind of passing comments about having a nice voice. I don't know, but so
Yes.
anyway, I thought,
Nice, deep, raspy, and British.
yeah, so
Nice, deep, raspy, and British.
so I thought, oh, I might try this streaming thing. It might not come to anything. I'll do it for a few months, see what happens, and then, but like after doing it for a couple of months and grinding it and kind of getting into that schedule and just kind of going for it, and obviously building the crowd as well, I did have a few sort of random people come back to me after my streams and kind of go, that stream was awesome. Oh, that game was awesome. Oh, just saying just random things. I thought, my God, this is going to keep me going. This is actually going to keep me going. And it was, I mean, obviously, feedback now from friends and stuff is very, very much appreciated. And it's very easy to take that feedback. But when you got someone random kind of coming and kind of going, oh, spotted your stream, it's awesome. I thought, huh. And yeah, me also being told I'm entertaining, which I don't know. I do not know. But you know, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh wow, okay, yeah, maybe I will try keep doing this. It's like it's because as much as yes, there's lots of preparation. There's lots of like getting the stuff, the gear right, the levels right, the scenes right. It looks good, and I focus a lot on that as well. That's why I agree with Personal. A lot of things where it's like visuals for me, you know, as much as the massive streamers that you see now, it is literally just the game and their face, and that is it. It's bare minimum, and like everything else is just kind of bonus. But I find that especially to grab the attention, it's gonna look kind of nice. Let's be honest. But like
to me, like I have to be satisfied with it.
yeah, but at the end of the day though, once it's all set up and you're kind of happy, you press go and you talk and do whatever you want to do. And it's something strangely that I've found very natural, despite obviously there's a camera in my face, which I'm not used to still, and I'm not quite fond of. I prefer to be behind the camera, not in front of it, for the most part. But yeah, it's something that I've found to be very natural, just sort of, because like you say, you hit the nail right on the head when you said, you know, that streaming for you is just a safe space. It's just a hangout. It's just if you chat with some friends, as much as yes, you'll meet some random people or over the time that you do this, but it's a case of when you're chatting with some friends, you're sharing a game with some friends, then that grows into playing games together and bits and pieces like that. So it's like it expands naturally without you really having to think about it very much.
Yeah, and like you know, one of the things, obviously, like lockdown, COVID,
Yeah.
has I think had honestly, I'm not sure if I would be streaming today if it wasn't for the lockdown, like COVID, because you spend so much time just at home.
Yeah.
There was at that point then like you know almost no reason for me to just pull the trigger on it, because I kind of stalled for like a long time before I actually did it.
Gotcha.
So like you know it was like the perfect like time to do so.
Yeah.
And like now I have friends like Phoenix and Bagels and stuff that like plays games with me and stuff all the time. I've never met them in person, but I consider them my friends. I probably wouldn't have gotten that if it wasn't for the time spent in my house, I guess, as when COVID was going on, the lockdowns and things.
I mean, I was also double-minded. I'm like, should I stream? Shouldn't I stream? And Headbanging Panda was the one who was like, oh, I know streamer. Let me ask some questions. And he was like, oh, you're planning on streaming? I'm like, yeah. And he plugged me a few times when, you know, as I started, and it was pretty dope to have that kind of influence. But I was like towards the end of COVID. It was like the last year of COVID. I mean, we're still technically in COVID. Let's be honest. But like the last little bit.
It'll be around forever.
You have to deal with this now.
Yeah. Just live life with it, yeah. But I can agree with the COVID thing, I must admit, because I mean, obviously, because of COVID, sitting in the house I started watching Twitch then, and it was a case of you just get inundated with the streamers, and then you get involved with the streamers, and I gravitated most towards Saikuno, and Valkyrie and all them. So it was like watching Saikuno. He was the one who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just streaming from my grandmother's shed, and I'm playing games for fun." And you know he has to pay his water bill or whatever, and it's like, okay, cool. And
you can pay for everyone's water bills now.
He can now, yes, yeah, well and truly now, yes. Considering he's just signed the lovely, still probably wet document from YouTube.
Yeah, you told me. Well, you said on the podcast last week that he's moving to YouTube.
Yeah, he started on YouTube last week. Yeah, which is immense, absolutely immense. And it's just like that, you know, fine well that his audience, regardless of where he is, as much as, yes, audiences will gravitate toward Twitch because that's kind of the go-to place, but when they know that he's moving, then they will just move with him. And then, you know, he's not going to start from zero again. No way.
No way. Yeah, it's probably as big as, like, the ninja move to Mixer. Rest in peace.
That's probably what made Mixer go rest in peace, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, like even like you say, I mean, you're like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and stuff like that. Originally, they were just YouTubers, but because of COVID and stuff like that, and they're not being able to go out or travel to make content or anything like that, they did start streaming more often than they normally would because of that, and they have then met streamer people as well as YouTube people, so they've kind of bridged the gap almost between the two, which is quite quite interesting.
It's pretty cool because I honestly didn't watch a lot of live streams on Twitch before, like kind of pursuing it myself. But yeah, my gateway thing was definitely from like YouTube, into people that have like content on YouTube that was edited and everything.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Did all live stream things. Like Call Me Kevin, like does a lot of Twitch streams, and like he converts into YouTube content.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, YouTube's always useful because it's like your best bits almost. But they don't. My problem with YouTube is that it's always cut up so much sometimes that you take away the substance of what your stream is about, or you take away context of a stream, and it can sometimes, if it's well edited, it's great, but if it's poorly edited, it loses all of its flow, and I don't want to risk that. I sometimes I feel that edited YouTube videos, I could spend loads of time on it, and then I'll never be happy with it because it's missing so many components that my stream gives. Yeah.
Like, I just like still think like one of my favorite editors on YouTube is the guy that edits Markiplier's videos, Melixian. He has like a knack like just of making things like so uniquely Markiplier.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially with the cartoon interactions and stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, so good.
Well, I think, wow, we've been talking for over an hour and a half right now. This is mad. This is absolutely mad. So, yeah, I think we're probably going to draw to a close there now. Yeah. So for all the YouTube peeps that are watching this right now, don't forget to like, comment down below what you want us to talk about on our next podcast, and also subscribe to the channel to get notified. Don't forget to click that bell button. I forgot to mention that last time. So don't forget to click the bell button. Yep, ring that bell and make sure you get notified when the new upload comes out, which will be a lot sooner than last week. So I have made sure of that. So yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. So
wait,
just
I don't follow you, or I'm not subscribed to you on YouTube.
How dare you?
Oh my God.
What is this audacity of me? How dare I be on your show then?
Oh my good Lord. Get him off. Get him off. Cancelled. Podcast cancelled. No, give us a like, subscribe, hit that bell, and comment down below what you thought about the podcast or what you want to see in the future. Or if anyone wants to be on the podcast and request to come on, drop that in the comments as well.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, person _ exe. I really do appreciate you coming through, answering all of our questions, and even the ones that might be a little bit too controversial.
You soldiered through. Yeah, you soldiered through. Well done.
And yeah, maybe in future there might be some topics that you might be interested in speaking about, and maybe we'll have you back again to like address some of those other topics. And yeah, if there's anything that you think would be a great idea to speak about, then let us know and you can jump on and we can chat about
nice.
it.
Half-Life 3, is it coming ever in our lifetime?
What?
Half-Life 3, is it ever coming within our lifetime?
Oh, I mean, it might be in VR or something. I don't know.
No.
Unreal Engine 6, yeah?
And for those who aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, there is the link. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah. Also, welcome, Itio. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome one and all.
Thank you guys for inviting me as well. Like, I don't know, I really appreciate you guys inviting me to your first guest podcast thing. I hope
no worries.
Okay.
It was great. It's great. Perfect. Superb, yeah. All right, so
yeah, let's call it a wrap. That's
a
wrap.
Let's wrap it up. That's a wrap. Yeah, we got it. All right. Thank you for everyone who was in the chat on the Twitch here, just for your lot of discussion with each other more than anything. It was great just seeing that kind of flow as we were talking about the certain subjects and things. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, thank you for everyone for checking in. Just to not that we're bothered about numbers right now, but we have had basically consistently about 6 to 8 viewers throughout the entire podcast, which is insane to me. Absolutely insane.
Viewers.
So yeah, that's that. Podcast episode 2 is done. It's in the books. Yes. Oh, even my little brother's here. Oh, Leon, nice one. Good podcast. Awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm going to end the recording right here.
You want to raid anyone there, Tom?
I am going to take a quick break and then I will move on to my normal stream. I'm going to carry on streaming actually.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. Great.
All right. So thank you very much, everyone. It's been a good time, and yeah, we'll see you next week with our next guest, which I'm not quite sure if we know what our next guest is yet. Do we?
So many options.
There are so many options.
Get like a hat with names.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or like
that's
a roulette
good idea.
wheel, just like a
Yes.
wheel. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Oh, we got. Oh, my alerts aren't working at the moment. I'm sorry, Carl. Yeah, that was good.
Madness.
Yeah, sorry. Scams. Tell you what, just for you, hold on. Just for Carlo. Watch this. I can do it. I can do it again. Hang on. Or can I? Oh, I have to wait 15 minutes. Ah, it's on a cooldown. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna end it here. I will be right back. I'm gonna take a short break and then we'll continue on with my normal stream. So yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.